The federal government has commenced the final phase of negotiation with the Academic Staff Union of Universities and other tertiary education unions to avert a fresh industrial action. The Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Aluasa, disclosed this in Abuja on Wednesday during a meeting of the Technical Working Group on the Condition of Service for University Lecturers. He expressed optimism that the remaining issues with the union would soon be resolved, noting that the group was finalizing a counter-offer to be presented to the union through the Allied General United Federal Government Tertiary Institution Negotiation Committee. Now, according to him, the move aligns with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's directive that all necessary steps must be taken to keep Nigerian students in school, present, and ensured that no disruption to the academic calendar. The minister explained that about 80% of the union's demand are common across all tertiary institutions, while the remaining 20% reflected sector-specific concerns. He added that the committee inaugurated earlier in the week had begun intensive deliberation to fast-track the agreement and also its implementation timeline. If you recall, ASU, in a strike bulletin to the members on Monday, directed branches to prepare for a 2-week warning strike expected to commence on October the 13th. The planned action follows an earlier 2-week ultimatum issued by the union last week over when it described as the government continued failure to address outstanding issues, including the signing and implementation of the renegotiated 2009 ASU federal government agreement. But the question today will be, will the recent move by the federal government help to stop the proposed plan action by ASU on embarking on an industrial action, and would, and I emphasize, would this be the last as it concerns the lingering issue of the disagreement between the union and federal government? Well, this and more as it concerns the issue, or rather, this very issue is what this edition of Dialogue is all about. And we're talking about strike, federal government, and ASU in high-stake talk. And that's what we're looking at today on the show, knowing that it's even on a major one on the front pages of the dailies today. Will there be a continued strike action between the federal government, or rather between ASU going on or embarking on a strike, or will the federal government recent move help to dazzle and indeed help avert any industrial action, knowing that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has insisted that no child will remain at home and disturb its academic calendar. But anyway, on that note, we'll be having this lovely discussion. And to join us to really look at this issue is no other but the ASU chairman of FUPRI right here in Delta State. And I'm talking about Engineer Dr. Wilfred Okologume. Good morning and welcome to the show, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Mike, and good morning to all.
Well, yes, we'll be looking at the recent dialogue between the federal government and especially your union as it concerns the impending industrial action that is planned for on the 13th of this very month. But before we do that, I'm really even excited having you on this platform because of what transpired yesterday at your institution. And we're talking about the protests that were carried out by students of FUPRI just yesterday. Many will say, well, it's one that surprised many, especially looking at how really stable that educational environment has been over the years. Big credit to the management of your institution. But before we go deep into our discussion, I want you to really help us understand what really happened yesterday. Why was there a big protest orchestrated by the student of that very great institution?
It's something that I'll say as an institution we are not proud of, we are not happy of what transparent, like you alluded, we've been having a smooth run of academic activities. So it's regrettable that what occurred. But I think what led to it was the dissemination of an unverified memo
Okay.
that was circulated among the student community and shown. I think the details of that memo had maybe proposed new charges, and the student community didn't see that well. Like I said, it's unverified that circulated. We don't know how because the document was not signed.
Okay.
It's not something you can hit your chest to say it's a legal tender. It was not signed, and the students were reacting to it. Even when their leadership have been engaging the university administration on this, and it has not been finalized. So we don't really know what transpired. There are so many school of thought to the narrative stand against this signing out party and ceremony by students.
Okay.
And this same week, a lot of them are expected to sign. So we don't really know what was the instigating factors. And that was what transpired. But the beauty of it is that they has been resolved because the university administration immediately released a disclaimer to the document circulated that led to the student arrest. The university administration released a disclaimer to that. And also, we are in an academic environment where a lot of our students are through the sessional exams. So normally the session was supposed to end tomorrow, Friday. So the wisdom of the university senate also, instead of allowing this to persist, if you say you continue the last paper this morning, and whether you like it or not, whether the student participated in protest or they did not participate, psychologically they will be affected in terms of their preparation to write the exam this morning. And if it does not take place this morning, an exam, the last paper did not also hold yesterday, the danger to it, spilling it over to next week, would cut up with this ASU strike that we're talking about,
Okay.
which will be a big blow. So, the Senate aroused from an emergency meeting yesterday
Okay.
to put an end
Okay.
for to the 2024-2025 session, so that our students do not lose
Yeah.
in terms of their residency and their timeline. So that whenever the issue is resolved and the strike debacle is resolved, the few that have exams, it will just be called off. Then we know those that have finished exam will also be resuming the new session. So I think the University Senate should be commended for that approach. But if that was not done quickly yesterday, this would have snowballed into
Yeah.
extending the student stay on
Okay.
campus. So the session would have been elongated. So I believe it's just also mentioned to us. Like I said, any person that feel aggrieved usually have a right to their clamor, but be the victim of your own actions.
Yeah.
For the fact that the university administration have responded to put a disclaimer, I think that should suffice and put a stop to this, because I'm aware that the leadership of the students at National were in campus a few days ago on this issue. And I think the students should trust their leaders. They should trust their leaders and see how it's not by confrontation. You made your point. The essence of protest is to draw attention, and that has been achieved. So it is time to share the sword and see how the issues will be closed out. And like I said, the management have issued a disclaimer. The University Senate have taken a position to still safeguard their residency, and I think the school should be commended for that. That's the little I can say with regards to what transpired. Like I mentioned, that have been issued.
Well, thank you for that very clarity, because we're really concerned, knowing that have any issues that concerns protests, and seeing that played out yesterday give everybody a need to be concerned. But let's go on that very issue. We want to understand how things are at the moment. Are things really now calm, and are they really going about their normal academic activities without any perceived sign of further protest?
Yeah, as at even yesterday,
Yes.
during the Senate meeting, when the Senate meeting was on, and often after the Senate meeting, immediately the students exited the east-west route,
Yeah.
especially when Senate arose to close the 2024-2025 academic session, which normally would have closed tomorrow, Friday. So because of this unfortunate situation, Senate had to take a decision than Friday, and I think a lot of the students since yesterday they have been vacating university there. And some of their parents are around also getting them even up to this morning. So presently, things are normal in the university. Academic activities is on.
Okay.
It's just that for the undergraduate program, the session has ended, but the postgraduate program, all other activities are still ongoing. So the campus is very, very calm. We commend our students also for their resilience, and we also commending them for respecting the stand on the university senate and exiting the east-west road immediately, because it's not really good for our image.
Yeah.
You've made your point, your message has been heard, and it has been addressed.
Okay. Okay, now let's leave that. Thank you for that clarity and giving us first-hand knowledge of what seems to be, especially in that very institution. But now let's dive deep into our main discourse for today, and it's the issue of the negotiation, as the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji, has said. Now, let's just quickly go to it. There's every indication with our own information on ground that there seems to be a meeting. Let's get that clarity first. Is there already an existing meeting between the federal government and your union in addressing the perceived or the proposed strike action that is to commence on the 13th? Let's get that first clear.
Well, for those of us in the branches of our union, I cannot really confirm that. We've
Okay.
not gotten a confirmation or update from our
Okay.
national leadership.
Okay.
But the truth is this: you remember the last time we were here on this subject matter,
Yes.
it boils to a common thing, the issue of trust.
Yes.
And Nigerians will always think that has to always resort to strike, strike, strike. And that's why we keep saying, let us look at the cause of the issue without looking at the effect. Now, the problem is this. Recall in our last discussion,
Yes.
we were able to analyze successive committees and timelines that government has given.
Yeah.
And that last discussion, government also gave timeline to the union that they should be given 3 weeks, which elapsed from the 25th of September to get back to the union, which they never did.
So
Now, the union issued an
excuse me,
ultimatum.
Dr. Wilfred, Engineer
Yeah.
Wilfred, are you saying, because we still remember that there was an ultimatum given by your union in dealing with the issue. They gave a 2 weeks notice before now bringing this recent one that only came out on Monday. Are you saying within that period, there was no dialogue between your union and the federal government? The federal government never came for a proposed meeting between your union and them in these negotiations? Is that what you are saying?
My brother, I can't misread it. Actually, the government gave 2 weeks to get back to the union. The union, in her wisdom, extended it to 3 weeks, which elapsed September 25th. And within that timeline, there was no contact. This counter offer that we are talking about now, that the minister is saying now, was what they said that they would get back to the union within that timeline, which they never did. There was no comment, no counter offer, no discussion. Everywhere were just stalemate. Now, the union on the 29th of September now had just a NEC meeting to review the situation and ask ourselves, how long can we continue in this scenario? And NEC, in our wisdom, haven't collected referendum from our branches because the way decisions are taken in our union is bottom top. So our branches haven't collected referendum, looked at it, collected it, and arose giving government 2 weeks notice for an initial 2 weeks warning strike in the first instance. Now, the first 1 week of that 2 week notice elapsed, while in the final week, just few days to the commencement of the industrial action, now you are setting up another committee upon committee. You are setting up another committee now to quickly discuss the counter offer. So I don't know. I just believe something is magic is going to happen between now and midnight of Monday, because I don't know. Because when you set up the committee now, at what point now you expected to give a feedback then, which will be resolved and signed off? At what point will that be discussed? At what point will it be signed off? At what point will it get to the president for endorsement before it now becomes a working document to avert what is going to play out next week? I think it's all about sincerity and trust. This is a narrative. I just pray they are sincere this time around. They're able to resolve it. But for some of us, we see this as a narrative to probably smear the image of the union. But Nigeria should know one thing. Which is very fundamental. Strike is always the last resort. It's not something we enjoy. And before now, if you look at the media space, we have been having media advocacy, several press releases, several protests, peaceful protests with placards, driving up our point, writing several letters, and nothing. And now we are getting to what, in quote, we are usually accused of. Now they are rising to say they want to quickly resolve it in less. Let's hope they are able to do the magic.
Okay, now, well, Engineer Wilfred Okologume, I would need to really say this. Yeah. Let's see how that magic, as you put it, will work within the perceived timeline to avert that proposed industrial action that is expected to commence on October the 13th. But let's look at the lingering issues, because we're also able to get his statement as it concerns the meeting he said he has had with top management of your union. And in that this thing he brought out, statement he brought out, he talked about one major and standing issue that seems to have arisen on account of your demands. And he talked about the issue of the money being released as it concerns what your union needs. And with what we'll see, because I will not want to take him out of context, but I have to take him direct on what he said. Now, he stated that significant progress has been made with the release about of 50 billion naira for the payment of the end academic allowance, while another 150 billion naira had been captured. This is where my emphasis is, has been captured in the 2025 budget for need assessment to be disbursed in 3 trenches. Now, Engineer Dr. Wilfred Okolugume, he's now saying that money has already been, 15 billion has been released for the end allowances. And he's saying that the 150 billion has also been put into the 2025 need assessment budget, which means the money is not going, I know why you are smiling. The money is not going to come suddenly. It will come in trenches. Now, if it comes with that trenches, would your union not just look at what they have said and just, okay, soft pedal as it concerns this very issue? So my question is, has the 50 billion been released, and will your union go ahead to allow it to follow in trenches?
All right, thank you very much. It's beautiful you say, I'm smiling, so it's good that I let our viewers also know why I'm actually smiling so that they'll know what you know. Now, you see, this has been the approach of our government, successive government and our current government. If you look at the history of this narrative, let's start with the talk about revitalization, this assessment.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be about 1.2, 1.3 trillion naira released in 3 different tranches.
Yeah.
It's 6 tranches of 200 billion each, which government only released then the first tranche and never did again. Now, looking at that same narrative, the same government, recently, present government said, okay, among that money, 150 billion have been budgeted for.
Yes.
And we started clamoring earlier, media advocacy, protest, writing letters to them, and in trying to resolve the issues of that. And I said, okay, we will resolve it. The money is not available, yes, it's budgeted for, but what we do is to immediately release 50 billion out of it.
Yes.
With a timeline there of about 2 weeks.
Okay.
We are still on that. The 50 billion are not. It's all about trust and sincerity. That's for the needs assessment. Sorry to say, talk is cheap. We're looking at action. It's not just me saying it. This has been said before now. Now let's talk about the issue of the end academic allowance.
Yes.
That they also say 50 billion has been released. For the record, what got to academic staff was 40 billion. But what was appropriated for? If you look at the 2025 Appropriation Act, which is a law, the line item for that is 50 billion
50
naira
billion.
for end academic. Wait, I'm giving you the budget line. 50 billion naira for end academic allowance in bracket FGN ASU agreement. But at the end of the day, what was released was 40 billion. What got to academic staff as 40 billion, not only 50. But we're not debating too much on that.
Okay.
But we should understand something, that what Google gave rise to that 50 billion, not that 50 billion was actually the arrears of our end academic allowance.
Yeah, we
50
know.
billion was far less than what we were entitled to. But in moving forward, the union said, okay, we will consider writing off the other aspects of it. Let's, out of goodwill from us, let us accept this 50 billion. Then we should work towards mainstreaming this in the 2025 and 2026 appropriation.
Yes.
So that we don't need to keep agitating for it to happen. Also, the same government has said that they have given instructions to university administration for 2025 to start paying that same end academic allowance. You can fact check. No federal institution have been able to make that payment because it was not appropriated.
Are you saying no federal institution has been able to pay any of that very amount?
For 2025 appropriation, 2025, because what government released as 50, announced as 50 billion, that they eventually released 40 billion, was meant for the arrears up to 2024.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Which we said, okay, let us write off the past so that we don't keep
and move ahead with the future.
Let it start coming regularly. And government has said, okay, in coming regularly, we are giving instruction and directive to university administration to be paying. While from 2026, government will take over the payment by having sure that it is part of the 2026 budget. And I'm telling you now, for federal university, that of 2025 have not even commenced. And we are already in October. You understand? I think our union, we are very patient, we are very considerate. Because when you talk about excess work, there are different components of an academic allowance. A lot of our colleagues are holding responsibility, which means they are doing extra job outside their core mandate as an academic. And there's no couple attached to such responsibility as responsibility allowance, and which is an extra duty.
Okay,
Nobody is
now,
saying come and give to academics what they are not deserving.
okay,
Nobody is saying that.
okay.
It is what they are deserving, give it to them.
Okay, now I will still take you up on the issue of wages and allowance. Also stated, he said that promotion arrears and also allowances, including teaching and wage award, have been also stated obligation will be cleared in the year of 2026. That's what he stated.
Well, I like the fact that you are quoting his statement. Now, you talk about promotion areas, you talk about wage award areas too, which initially they said it was appropriated for. Our colleagues in other sector of the Nigeria public service have got their wage award areas too. But today, in Ember month, you are now saying what we have been clamoring and discussing with you since, that you keep promising us that you will do, you will do. You are not telling us now that it will be part of next year's budget. It's a matter of trust factor. We want to believe you. If only this time around, resolve the issue so that even when you tell us it's going to be in 10 years' time, and we see that you are sincere with it, and we know when it gets to 10 years' time, you deliver, it's better than tell us it's going to be tomorrow. Then tomorrow you come again, you say another tomorrow, it now end up being tomorrow never comes. No.
So are you saying nobody has been paid that money, especially from your union?
For 2025 responsibility allowance or other and academic allowance that our members are entitled to for this calendar year 2025, nobody, to the best of our knowledge and the data available to the union, as far as federal institutions is concerned, nobody. And the funny thing is, some of these things that we are clamoring,
Yeah.
some of our colleagues in state universities, the state government have started implementing.
Wow.
Some state government have started implementing. I don't know what it is, but I'll tell you, federal universities, they are the least paid compared to some state universities and even some private universities.
Hello,
Some of these
engineer.
things were clamoring, they are being
Okay.
implemented by those other proprietors.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Following the agreement template we have entered between the union and federal government, which is supposed to cascade down. So I'm implementing the top man, the top data, which is the federal government, why they are holding back. That was why we quickly the proliferation of universities should stop, because resources are usually scarce.
Yeah.
So you need to prioritize how you allocate scarce resources, not by duplicating functions and roles. That at the end of the day, you expect persons to do magic, and tomorrow will complain that our products are not well to do. It's big university education. This is what we are saying. Look at society here up to this point. You are seeing the effect of some of this failure from government playing even secondary school. Look at WAEC result, look at JAM result. These are going down down the drain rather. And if we don't quickly put a need to it, then we're not ready. And that's belief that Nigeria should look at it from this context. ASU is not being selfish, we are being patriotic. Very, very patriotic. Because as it stands today, ASU is considered the only union that is advocating for the betterment of public tertiary education, especially in universities in this country. And if we relax and sleep, only God knows what will happen. Only God knows what will happen. You just mentioned that our students protested. Okay, good. Remember, at some point in time, we kicked against introduction of tuition. When the same government was proposing to introduce tuition fee, we said no. What the students were even protesting for, this is not even school fees, it's not tuition fee, it is service charges. Note, if government was adequately funding the university and infrastructure maintenance, why what will make university administration to normally charge students for services?
Yeah.
It's because the funds is not coming, and the student needs to be getting such services.
Yeah.
They need to have the enabling environment. They need to have power and what this. Who pays for it? Where the proprietary government is not bringing the money. You understand? And
Yeah.
they said net fund. You see, part of the reason we don't advocate for net fund. Sometimes university administration engage the government and say, don't worry, put the charges here. Any student that cannot pay, tell them to go and take a student loan.
Next one, loan.
So parents also be part of the struggle when as we speak. These are some of the things that we foresaw. And people said, what concerns us with net fund? Is it our money? But today, just with a rumor, not that it has been implemented, not that it is even valid, an unsigned document, you saw the reaction from our own students. So
Okay,
people
now,
should see how patriotic we are in our approach.
okay.
And that's why we're saying, government, you have waited this long. You want to blackmail in quote the union to say, hey, we have made an offer. Make the offer. Let's see the counter offer. Not just 2 hours to the timeline. Because the issue is that they
Okay,
want
Engineer,
to leadership.
Dr. Engineer Wilfred, I'll plead with you to hold on. I understand why you're talking with this passion. Well, but talking about making it enforceable, I also, or rather, we learned on dialogue yesterday that the minister also said that this will be the first time the Solicitor General will be joining the meeting. And he said the reason that this is happening is to put a legal binding. I'll go to his statement because I don't want to sound or take him out of context. Now, he said this will be the first time the Solicitor General will be joining on the meeting. And this is to ensure that all agreement reached will be enforceable and true. That's he's talking about the legal part of it. He said, for the first time, the Solicitor General of the Federation and officials of the Ministry of Justice were directly involved in the negotiations process to ensure legal soundness and enforceability of the agreement. Now, my question is, looking at this as the first time this is happening, do you feel anything that will definitely come out of this meeting will be totally binding? And do you feel that when we've not had the legal part of the government joining in successive agreement, that's why we're still going back and forth on what they've agreed and what they did not agree on? So let's understand that. Do you feel this will help out that the Solicitor General of the Federation and also the legal team of this very administration is a part of this meeting?
I would not want to speak based on my feeling, but rather I want to hope it does. But if you look at it from a different narrative, don't you think that could also amount to an indictment on the part of government? If government is saying they have entered into agreement unions before now and they don't implement it, so they are now bringing the Solicitor General so that to show us a good way that this time around we will implement it. That's why we are bringing Solicitor General to say it's illegal. That to tell you in quote, maybe they don't trust their approaches. Because they trust the fact that they are sincere with it, that is not really that necessary. But since they are bringing that option too, we commend technology indirectly that they have not been sincere up to this point, and they want to show that level of sincerity by bringing the Solicitor General, so that at the end of the day, whatever agreement that will be entered can be enforceable in the law court. If that's what they are looking at, okay, we commend them and let us hope. It's not about my feeling. Let us hope that if the agreement is entered based on collective bargaining agreement, not based on what you award or what you enforce, it should be based on what is agreed. Then let's see how it plays out. It's about hoping, not what I feel. Because if it's about what I feel, looking
okay,
at previous experience.
Don't you feel, okay, you said it's not what you feel, but is that not the reason that they do not have a legal team as part of the agreement in successive agreement? That's why most of what they talked about was not binding. Maybe they felt that maybe the union was almost untwisting them, but now they have a legal team that will look at the legal implication of any agreement they reached to ensure that it's binding.
Like I said, to me, I might be wrong, but it's an indirect induction to say they have said, as when they were meeting the unions in the past, they were not sure of what they were doing. So it's an indictment, acceptance of fault. And that's why I'm saying it's not about what I feel. It should be about what I hope. If this time around the agreement is mutual and both parties are happy and they are saying it should be enforceable, then they should do it. But note that if they are sincere, They shouldn't be even looking at the option where it will go fast litigation to enforce what has been agreed. That option is too extreme. But let's just trust them. It's their approach. Yeah, we commend them. If they believe in that their approach, let them do. Our own is let us put action to the words we speak. That's what we're looking at.
Okay, I will plead with you, Engineer Dr. Wilfred. We need to go on a break now, but just to remain with us. We'll come back and we need to pay our bills. And when we do, I will continue our discussion as we'll also be looking at the way forward. Yes, what will be the way forward, especially as it concerns resolving this lingering issue that will be traceable back to 2009, our very agreement. Let's go on a break.
When the lights go out, who do you call? Ticado! Ticado Energy Solutions Limited, your plug for electrical power, surveillance system, and entertainment. From expert electrical installation to efficient eco-friendly solar inverter systems, no matter the size, Ticado delivers smart energy solutions designed for today and tomorrow. We also help you secure your space with our cutting-edge security and surveillance system. Enjoy crystal clear entertainment with our professional DSTV and cable TV installation. Visit Ticado today at Block F4, Suite 41 and 42, HFP East Line Plaza, Abraham Adesanya, Aja, Lagos. Or call 0906 902 5025 or 0815 176 6817. Explore our services at ticado.com.ng. Ticado Energy Solutions Limited. Power, protection, peace.
Let's bring back the ASU chairman of FUPRI. I'm talking about Engineer Dr. Wilfred Okolugume. Well, thank you back for being with us and for your patience while we go for to get those commercials. But let's now return to the issue. Now, I'm a bit concerned, and my concern is that we have so many demands or awaiting demands that have not been reached by the federal government concerning what your union has really been looking out for. And we know there's almost a 5-point demand, major demands that the union is seeking for. And many will say, okay, well, if one or two of these demands are being met up, that's more like meeting you guys halfway or midway. Now, for you, what would your union really get? And we're talking about the demands, which is more pressing, and if 2 or 3 of which demand will be met, because that's what he's pleading. He's pleading that, please, you guys should understand that they'll try and meet so demands, and others will come in trenches, like he said, and they'll be forthcoming as it goes. So for you, which is the most pressing demand that you feel the federal government has to reach on time to avert any strike?
Direct answer to your question is the one that has to do with our condition of service.
Okay.
Our salary structure. We've been on the structure since 2009, and only the 2009 agreement has components for it to be reviewed every 2-3 years, which has never been done. And we were close to resolving this debacle with the late Nimi Briggs-led committee, which agreed and resolved with us as at 2021. But government failed to sign it off. And that is why they also inaugurated the Yahya Ahmed committee. And that committee, in our wisdom, had to start from the Nimi Briggs committee, because at today, the components of the draft agreement then in the Nimi Briggs report are not realistic. Looking at the economic times to find ourselves. That has been the basis of the new negotiation. And as a way of goodwill from our part, so that we understand, you just say 5-point demand. When you talk about EAA that they have answered us, we let go of a major component of what we were entitled to as part of goodwill. To just, okay, government, okay, let us leave this other percentage of what we are entitled to, the major chunk of it, let us leave it as a way of goodwill, so that we focus on resolving the key issues. The same way we said, okay, let us release the aspect of releasing 600 billion. Okay, we are agreeing with you 150 billion naira, release it in tranches of 3 first for the year. Of course, you are aware up to now, the first 50 billion have not even been released. So I don't really see where the fulfillment of some of these demands have been made. But to resolve this issue is tied under 3 key fundamental issues.
Okay.
Sincerity, trust, and implementation. That is just what it is. Sincerity, trust, and implementation, it resolves the issue immediately. We must not go to the extreme to call our member or our members demand that we should embark on strike before you now see the need and the seriousness behind resolving this issue. It's a gap for so long that it's not helping our education and university system. That's not the truth. So I think, like I mentioned, the first and the most important should be the ones that has to be condition of service and salary structure, which needs to quickly be reviewed and a new salary structure announced. Because, like I mentioned, some of our counterparts in some state universities or private universities are far doing exceedingly better than us. And outside that, looking at the African average, we are far below as a nation. And university is universal, it's a global community. And for you to compete favorably with counterparts elsewhere, you must be almost on a measurable scale. You must use the same kind of indices. And that's what we are saying. People should not think that when we say welfare condition of service is because it affects us. It's for us to be quite competitive so that at the end of the day, we should be able to come out with solutions that can be domesticated as no solution and they become home and will solve Nigeria problems. Go to most of our institutions, infrastructure-wise, without TED fund, nothing. And that's where the union still needs to be commended because TED fund is a baby of ASU. Because we propose alternative funding to government by introducing education tax, and government has said, oh, since this is working, they're shying away from their key responsibility. So that's why we are being careful with this narrative. So it needs to be solved. When you talk about staff development, in most universities now, it's only TED fund. Without TED fund, nothing. How do you grow your economy when you understand it's not even making any attempt to grow? That is one big question that they need to answer. If they answer that question, then they know why they need to be sincere and work with us in synergy to resolve these issues. We want also as a way of solution, let us have indices that tie these reviews to inflation so that we don't need to keep clamoring. We could have it as a standing committee. When dynamics change, it happens in the private sector. When dynamics change, the employers already knows what to do and how to easily adjust. But in the private sector, you see that you want labor unions to clamor and to no. That shouldn't be what it is. The same way that they are changing their DTS and their allowances as things changes. That's the same policy.
Dr. Wilfred, I'll plead with you to hold on because that's where my next question will go. Now, some part of the government feels your union is always so quick to giving ultimatum, always so quick to issue threats and also the issue of strike. And my question now is, should there not be an avenue at the sideline that brings about negotiation so we do not come to this aspect of ultimatum being given and also strike action be taken? Because that's what some part of the government feels, that your union is just so quick in issuing threats and also demands.
All right, thank you very much. Well, they take responsibility for the way they think, but I think Nigerians can judge us correctly that when this issue has started, they also give timeline and they fail in their timeline. We remind them through press release. Nigerians are aware when they also give a 2 week, 3 weeks notice or timeline that they will get back to us, which elapsed in September, not we, and they fail. They will now notice for industrial action. First 1 week elapsed, they did not come back. Few days to the expiration of the notice, then they are now rushing, they want to blackmail into this concept. No. Let's be sincere with the facts that is in the public domain. We are not too quick to give. They are failing. They are too slow to act.
Well, anyway, it's just more of a direct answer. Now, I'm really also concerned, especially Nigerians, of the impact this continuous back and forth will have on the educational sector. Now, I'm really also, I know you are a part of the union, but I'll plead with you to take yourself away from it and look at a really broader aspect. Do you feel this continuous back and forth has really impacted negatively on the educational sector and also giving us more of a negative rating as it concerns our public government tertiary institutions? Because you agree with me that many Nigerians, if it was not for the funds, they would rather prefer private institutions that they understand the timeline that their children will graduate and leave the four walls of the university, rather than having them in public universities. And also, when they will graduate is only when any prophecy, prophet can really prophesy that, well, this will be the due date for your child to leave the school. So let's look at it. Do you feel this is really impacting negatively on our public institutions?
Yeah, thank you very much. Of course, it's not, it is. And that's part of the reason we're clamoring for a stop to some of this narrative. The truth is this, one thing clear, it's not really about to education, it should be access to quality education.
Yeah.
Quality education. It's not because you go to school and you graduate within the time. And what are you being taught? What were you trained for? What do you know at the end of the day? What can you carry out bragging right to be what you have capacity for? And that is why we are clamoring that if the infrastructure is not there, the enabling environment is not there, the workforce is not properly motivated, how do you think they will impart the right knowledge to the student? It's not about saying, okay, no, let's just keep the system like come to work if you like, do anything. They are far, let the student not graduate. They will end up looking at paper certificate, hard skills, instead of committing soft skills, what they know. And that's what we are clamoring for. That's just the truth. We don't enjoy this, and we don't like the fact that God will want us to be the ones that will not take charge to say, yes, you must do what you are supposed to do. You see, owning a university, the way government established university, it's like a parent who choose to marry, whether your spouse and your child. If you want, if you cannot get seven, you have no business having 7 children, then you are expect others to train your children for you. You have no business. You work within your space. That's the simple fact. So our clamor is for quality education. The danger to this is this. Yeah. When the workforce is not motivated, we have empirical evidence to show what I'm saying now. Yeah. A lot of our colleagues have left the shores of this country and doing excellently well, even neighboring African countries. Is that what we want for ourselves? I don't want to go personal, but I can play if I'm permitted, maybe some share with you private.
Yeah.
I can for 16 of nothing less than 4.9 million. Now, what if someone don't do so? Then you now see Nigeria will keep losing our best brains. And that is why, for me, the narrative of losing best should not change to the West gaining brains.
Yeah.
They are gaining brains. Why we are losing? Because of our failure. And that's why I will summarize this my position to the fact that we are pained because we are advocating for quality education. And the ruling class are just looking at access to education by opening so many schools, call it a university. When you go there, you don't see anything that liking it as a university. At the end of the day, you turn out to come out with graduates that cannot measure up to the other clients. Is that what we want for ourselves as a nation? I'll tell you no. And like I said before we went on break, it is cascaded down to our entire educational structure. Look at the kind of results we are getting from O-level, WAEC, and JAM. Is that what we should be proud of as a nation? That in today's world we admit students that are below average because of failure of governance in focusing on education, having the right funding, UNESCO recommended funding, which we are a party and signature to, and we are happy and celebrating it. It's not I think Nigeria should be happy about. We should take it, join the union, let us solve this once and for all, and see what the future will be like.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and I know time is not a friend, but we'll not let you go if we do not also address this. Now, there's a recent push in the National Assembly that there should be a bill that will mandate public office holders to ensure that their children remain in Nigerian institutions. And if you're a public office holder, your child is not here, then that will be issue. Now, 2 quick questions. This might sound a bit funny. It looks as if we are really on a heated one since we started this discussion. Now, do you see that really happening in your own assessment, number one? And if, and I'm just saying if it finally does happen, do you see this correcting all these wrongs you've just highlighted?
Okay, I like looking at the cause of an issue without before looking at the effect. Okay. Why are some proponents looking at that option? Because sometimes where you should know where it pinches. If you are not part of it, you will not know how it feels. You understand? That's why a lot of commentators are thinking because they don't feel it, they don't know what is happening. That's why they feel this narrative are just real things. They let them keep talking. You keep them talking syndrome. Man, they will talk, they will get tired. Recall, in the earliest days of Nigeria university system, we were doing very well.
Yeah.
You have the the children of the elites,
Yeah.
the children of the elite in public institutions. You understand, the earliest days. And that is why I think some proponents are thinking, since they have started moving their words away, they don't know what is happening. Maybe if we reverse to the formula of the earliest days, it could address some of these issues. But do I see it happening? That is something, like I said, I hope it happens. But do you think they want to make it happen? No. But if they want to make it happen, they should get system running. If they are not proud, the idea is if they are not proud of the system they lead, then it's an indictment. And I think that's what that narrative is. They should be proud of our educational space. They should be proud to say they have their children in our universities. So that all of us collectively, as a nation, we should be proud of our educational system. That's the idea behind that narrative.
Well, anyway, I'll need to thank you, and I would have loved to ask one final question, but I know you will never give us a total answer because those negotiations are still ongoing. My question would have been, are we still going to expect any strike anytime soon? 13th of October it is, but the deliberation is there, so I don't want to sound as a prophet of doom. But would your union go on strike if?
Of course, I will answer you. I will answer you. As it stands, the decision of the branches, the decision of the NEC is that on the 12 midnight 13th of October, a national strike will commence. That is the status as it stands. That's the current situation as at this moment. So from 14th, all public universities will be shut down for 2 weeks in the first instance. That is the current situation on ground. So it's not something that I cannot answer. That's the current situation because that's what our members have mandated us to do. So we're speaking the voice. That's the current situation. So it's not something we need a prophet to predict.
Well, anyway, on that very sad note, because it will be sad for Nigerians to see that we are returning to the era.
No, don't use sad. Use regrettable or fortunate.
Okay, regrettable note. Thank you so much. I would rather put regrettable notes. But our hope and our prayers, because all you've been saying is hope, 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 and hope. So we will also hope. Our hope and prayers will be that there will be a negotiation between your union and the federal government, and a quick one before 12 midnight of 12th of October 2025. But before, we just hope and we pray also. We'll put on our prayer garments and see how that will come to reality. But what I will need to say is thank you so very much. And I'm talking about the ASU chairman of FUPRI, Engineer Dr. Wilfred Okolugume. You are always there to give us an update. You are always there to really talk to Nigerians on the pain of your union and your wish to see a better, more robust working environment that you have, and also a more robust tertiary institution that Nigerians will be truly proud. Thank you so much for always obliging us anytime we call on you. We truly appreciate that. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity too.
Well, thanks
to our listeners and our viewers.
Thank you. Well, anyway, that's more like a wrap today on the show, and while it will still always continue. And that's what we always do on Dialogue. We bring you critical, major issues that seem to be on the front burner in the country, and we do not shy away from talking about it. We bring it on the table for all of us to dialogue and see a way forward. But the way forward now is for you to drop your comment on our different social media platforms as it concerns this discussion. What do you feel the federal government needs to do? What should the union do to avert all of this? Let's get your thoughts. Our social media accounts will soon be on your screen so that you definitely go drop your comments. Remember to like, share, and also participate in our discussions, and we'll be truly grateful to have your comment. But for me, Michael Gobadia, I will just say, well, God willing, we'll see you come tomorrow on the show. Bye for now.